18th. And I'm just having a thought here. We got Dogman all over the place. It's very interesting. Even if you think it's total garbage, some of these stories are just some of the best stories you've seen. Much better than anything that's on TV. Anyway. But people are not just telling these stories and saying, haha, got you. They're saying, this is what I've seen, and this is why I won't go into the woods anymore, even though I've done it my whole life long. I got to thinking about things, and I started thinking in terms of, okay, hellhound, dogman, some connection there with some kind of, strange spirit involved. So, I mean, could it be that the dogman is a body created or volunteered to host some sort of unclean spirit? Now, could Dogman be the body for the hounds of hell? I guess that's where I'm going with this. So, I mean, let's start with demons are disembodied spirits. They had their lives in the time of Noah and before. So, I mean, in their time, they were described as being monsters, basically horrible people, also giants, and in some strange stories, creating different weird forms for themselves, basically coming out as all kind of mutants with great powers. And they were, of course, the children of the Watcher Angels, large and powerful and greedy and hateful. And, of course, they were doomed to kill one another off in a vast civil war. And their parents, the Watcher Angels, were, set to have to sit there and watch this happen. And apparently it wasn't over quickly. The Watcher Angels themselves were then chained in darkness, is basically what it says. And the Bible tells us that the spirits of these half-human, half-angel people were doomed to roam the earth as ghosts, but they're ghosts that were never actually quite human, or let's say part human. Disembodied forever. Well, forever, I don't know. So they've done this for thousands of years, is what we're working on, the theory we're working on here. They're angry, vengeful, despising of God and his people and anything nice. We're also told that in the end times, which I'd like to point out, I kind of like end times sounds scary, but it's more like the end of necessity for time. But anyway, we can get into that another time. But we're told that at the end times would be just like the time of Noah. And I mean, what is not just implied, pretty much clearly spoken, is that in the time of Noah there was like great power. And if you don't want to even believe on the spiritual side or magic side, that's fine. Great power, as in even technology, was involved. And it all went straight to hell. No pun intended there. And this, in that time of Noah, basically you had an age of technology. And even the Bible kind of plainly says, like, manipulation of the kinds. That means mixing of different species. That's plain. And all that stuff, by the way, all that technology and stuff is some of what got us in trouble in the first place. All that, the gifts of cheating nature, cheating God, basically, came from the bad guys. And that leads us to a lot of decadence and arrogance and, kind of having anything good, kind of having God or Jesus, something nice, being beaten out of us from pretty early on. And I mean, science always seems to give a guilty conscience everything it wants to hear, if you know what I mean. I mean, no accountability there. So, could these things, the dogman, be exactly what they seem? Monsters, demons. And this would make sense whether it was created via science or via some individual doing enough evil stuff that he gets gifted with this curse of lycanthropy. So dark ritual, dark science, is there a difference? Both together, I don't know, you tell me. It all comes from the same place, I mean, ultimately. This notion being like werewolf bodies for angry spirits. I mean, that's one to think on. So you got some people, constantly with the notion that we have secret government hybridization, we got the genetic weirdness gone, and that's just how that goes. So keep that in mind. It all comes from the same place. I've also entertained the idea of the powers or principles, these kind of ranks of angels that have been given a form by God, that sometimes are always described as being rather weird. Some of these angels have 4 heads and stuff like that. But I never specifically heard of any kind of wolf angel. If you have, let me know. I know the people that I hear giving testimony, they don't want to be a person who saw a dog man, so it doesn't seem like it's fun for them. If you listen, you can really see in their eyes when there's a video to be seen. I see real fear in a lot of these people. Lifelong hunters and fishermen are refusing to return to the woods after seeing this stuff. I'm talking about tough old guys who are getting tears in their eyes thinking about this thing that they saw and talking about it. Again and again, I hear admissions of people actually saying, no, I wet myself. I was that scared. And they're freely saying that as kind of putting a strong point on, hey, yes, this happened. I was scared. People are going out and buying elephant guns, So why now? We've seen them for centuries, actually. So I've heard recently about the Choctaw story that was about the people going and deliberately stealing the bones of Bigfoot or giants, basically just to drag back into a piece of land that the dogmen had invaded, where they've been, killing the people themselves. Brought in the bones just to try to draw Bigfoot into the area and hopefully get him and them to draw attention away from the people. Basically, setting Dogman and Bigfoot at each other. And there's something there. You could look up the Lockett Ranch story on YouTube. It won't be hard to find. So they seem to have been around, but they seem like, is it just that they're more bold now? Or is it just more people are not so afraid to, record their stories? According to some people, people can become werewolves. There's a fellow called Bill Schnoebland, and if you know who I'm talking about, then you know who I'm talking about. And he'll tell stories that will curl your hair. And I don't know, you can believe him or you cannot, but it is something to behold. This is a form of possession. I'm pretty sure of that either way. And there was, I remember some old books from a long time ago, Ed and Lorraine Warren, related stories of possessed people displaying looping qualities and inhuman strength. You might check out a book called Werewolf, which was an account of a possessed man. I believe he was from Brighton in the UK. And this was investigated by Ed and Lorraine Warren. I know some people have certain thoughts about them, but, in any case, it's a good read. The idea of skinwalkers is completely compatible and interchangeable with the occult process of taking the form of a wolf. In both cases, they're specifically evil, reviled, feared. Practitioners are not called medicine men or priests. They're called witches or Satanists. I was surprised to find in studying in the Cherokees, they had a distinct recognition and wariness surrounding the idea of witches. And I assume the use of that term comes down a process of learning different English words and just finding out which one best described the thing that you were describing. And, for these things, they chose the word witch to describe the practitioners of, basically like demonic practices. And they were constantly looking for signs of witches. Very, very interesting. Especially one would have assumptions about, sort of an animistic, mystical spirituality that would allow for, acceptance of strange things and shape-shifting and stuff like that. But in this case, they have very distinct notions concerning certain practices. And we should be so alert now. So skinwalkers and occultists, pretty much the same thing. I recently heard, I was watching another guy's channel. I'll go ahead and say, Brenton Sullivan, he's got a good channel. Go ahead and check him out. Mysteries to Search. And on his show, he had a fellow telling a story about a man changing forms after having applied an ointment from a black jar with a gold lid. And the guy has putting this stuff on crazy feverishly, and then he's freaking out, hulking out. And it was interesting, though. There are ancient stories about that very thing, which I think they go into. And I know some people are going to immediately cringe at that, the idea of taking this seriously, but hey, why not? Why not entertain the thought? Science is telling you that they can hybridize, I'll say humans and animals, that anything with anything, plants, humans, whatever. And that's no joke. That's in your news. So that's true, right? Well, they're playing a lot of games with D.N.A. and doing a lot of fun and interesting things. You can put ears on rats. This is the kind of stuff that they show us. So, what was that, time lag of decades between whenever they discover something and when they actually filter it down to us? So who knows what they got going on? Tagged right on there. Just about every single time with some of these missing people, and specifically either kind of, I guess, first assumed, or there was witnesses to actual Bigfoot or Dogman being involved in some heinous, crime or disappearance. You get agencies showing up. And obviously there are agencies involved when there's trouble. But some of these agencies, it's not their job to come on down to local areas and to be there practically, on the heels of the crime. Sometimes apparently before first responders. So they're showing up, where people are, being found dead or disappearing, and where some people are implicating Bigfoot or, Dogman. You can think the 411 thing. So I'm like, are they tracking them down or just keeping track? And it's interesting, game wardens and rangers, they're very interesting people these days. They seem to know about Bigfoot and Dogman. It's understood and universally ignored. People go missing. There's sometimes quick dog attack stories. If they're found mutilated, it's a dog attack. If they're found not mutilated, maybe it's hypothermia, but they were in a weird place. How'd they get there? Or they never return. And then clothes are found folded up like a year later, like they've been in storage. And that is weird. And it sounds like some evil head games. It's not going to be any coincidence. I'll do the whole thing, all the cultures around the world thing. It's not a delusion of every culture around the world. Works of art going across all the centuries show this kind of stuff. And that stuff was expensive to make, expensive to produce. And were often specially associated with works concerning actual creatures. So why would the ancients be goofing around? And don't give me the old people in the past were morons assumption. Let's not even do it. Why is silver disappearing from our daily lives? Anyway, I will give a direct plug for that dude who has the Dogman Encounters, Vic Cundiff. I don't know for a fact if it's true, but he had a story on there. Even if you don't believe a word of it, you should listen to it because it is just that good. And it's basically surrounding this guy, his experience seeing Dogman that actually ends up dead, and his uncles seeming to know all about this. And from other people that I know who are from similar region where that fellow was at, and from similar circumstances, let's just say there's a lot of folk wisdom that is very wise. There's some people that really do live out in some places where not many people go, and they have seen some weird things, and there's a long tradition of weird things seen in the woods. So, the Dogman killing uncle story down there, that was really great. You should check that out, actually. So, is a Dogman the vessel for the Hounds of Hell specifically, or does it even matter, or is he just full of regular demons? Created forms and possessed people, or both? These are just some thoughts. If the subject interests you, give me some feedback. If you have seen the Dogman or the werewolf, I'd like to hear it. You can do an extended comment or just send it to unocculted@gmail.com. It's on my mind. So, If this was any good for you, like and subscribe. Thanks. Good night.